90 screws went into that bedroom floor before I admitted I'd been fixing the wrong thing. The joists were marked, and I hit every one of them, and the noise was still sitting exactly where I'd left it. But a creak is two pieces of wood rubbing together, and there are 4 different pairs it could be, so go after the wrong pair and you'll lose a Saturday for it. Work out which pair you've got first. After that, most of what's coming costs under $20. Name them, and the rest of this gets easy. The subfloor riding up and down on a nail that never went into the joist at all. 2 boards rubbing each other at the seam, and the bottom of a wall lifting away from the floor underneath it. I've had all 4 of those in one house. They're cheap to fix because a creak is a noise your own floor is making, so you kill it at the source. Stopping footsteps reaching the room below is a different job entirely, and that one is expensive. Number 1. The nail that missed, which is the second pair on that list, and the one nobody goes looking for. When your house was framed, somebody ran a nail gun down those subfloor sheets at a fair pace, and every so often a nail goes in beside the joist instead of into it. From the top it looks identical. Underneath, that shank is running down the side of the joist, and every time you step there, the wood slides on the steel. I've lifted floors nailed off by professionals and found half the fasteners missing the joist completely. This is the one that eats weekends. People go through a whole house, putting a good screw either side of every nail the builder used, and nothing changes, because the builder's nails had missed too. They'd been screwing very carefully into thin air next to them. Adding fasteners will not work here. You have to kill the old nail. Bend it over with a hammer, pull it with a cat's paw, or cut it between the joist and the sheet with an oscillating multi-tool. That's what I reach for, because the blade goes in flat without marking the sheet. The 2 things that were rubbing aren't in contact anymore, so the noise stops, and you haven't bought a thing. Number 2 has nothing to do with your subfloor at all. Go and stand on the creak, then see how close you are to a wall. If it's within about a foot of one, you're probably not listening to the floor. That's where I go first now. There's a 2x4 lying flat under every wall in your house, nailed down through the same sheet as everything else. When that plate works loose, stepping near it pushes the floor down away from it, and you're hearing the plate nails. I've watched people screw a whole floor down twice, years apart, and never once touched this, because it isn't out in the middle of the room where they were looking for it. The fix is easy and invisible. Take the baseboard off, and drive a 3-inch screw down through the drywall at a steep angle so it passes through that plate and into the subfloor. Add another every foot or so until it goes quiet. Then put the baseboard back on, and nobody will ever know you were in there. Number 3. Go and look at the screws you are about to use. If the thread runs all the way up to the head, put them back on the shelf. I bought the wrong screw for years before anybody sat me down and explained why. Drive one of those through a subfloor into a joist, and the threads bite the sheet and the joist independently, so if there's a gap between the two, that screw will hold the gap open quite happily forever. It's doing the opposite of what you bought it for. That is why people screw off an entire room and hear no difference at all. What you want is a smooth section of shank under the head, and that smooth part has to be at least as long as your subfloor is thick. Then the threads only grab the joist, and the head pulls the sheet down onto it. On 3/4-inch subfloor, a 10-gauge screw at 2.5 to 3 inches gets you there. Stand your weight on the spot while you drive it, so the sheet is already down when it takes. And don't reach for drywall screws, they're brittle and they snap. Number 4 is the cheapest thing here, and it's a jug of white wood glue. It only applies to one kind of floor though. Sheet subfloor with tongue and groove edges, chipboard or OSB or ply, where the creak follows the seams rather than the joist lines. That's the 2 boards rubbing pair, and glue is what kills it. Thin it right down. Roughly 3 parts water to 1 part glue. Brush it into the seams, then bounce on the boards to work it down into the joint. That last part is the whole trick. Neat glue sits on top and achieves nothing, because it's far too thick to reach where the rubbing is. Thinned, it runs in, swells the board edge a little, and locks the joint as it dries. Then leave it alone for a day. If your sheets are bad enough that you've started planning routes across your own apartment after 10 at night, this is the one to do. I'd do every seam in the room while I had the glue out. Don't get carried away though. Pour enough into an open seam and it'll find its way to the ceiling below. Number 5 is the one everybody already knows, and it works on exactly one of the 4. Talcum powder, or powdered graphite, down into the seams of a plank floor. Lay a heavy line along the gap, put a towel over it, and walk on it. Then sweep up and wipe the haze off, because that haze will make the floor slippery. Try not to breathe the dust while you're at it. It's board against board only, and it's months rather than years, so you'll be back doing it again. What powder is really worth is the answer it gives you. Fill a seam, and if the noise doesn't shift at all, then it isn't board on board, and a quarter of the list is off the table for the cost of a bottle. I keep some in the house for that reason more than the other one. Spray oil gets recommended for the same job. Leave it alone. It can take a floor finish with it, and you've traded a creak for a greasy patch in a room people walk across. Everything up to here has been from above, which is what you do when you can't get at the underside. If you have got a basement or a crawl space under that floor, number 6 beats every one of them. Go down there before you touch anything upstairs, because you can see what's moving instead of guessing at it through a carpet. Have somebody walk about while you mark every noise you hear with a pencil. If I can get underneath a floor, I don't work on it from above at all. Then you've got 2 options. A shim, tapped gently into the gap where the sheet has lifted off the joist, is the classic one, and it works. Tapped gently, though. Drive it and you'll jack the floor up and buy yourself a new problem. Shims can also back off across a summer and a winter, and I've heard from enough people to think a loose one ends up giving the nail more room than it started with, so I'd sooner use glue. Run a heavy bead of subfloor adhesive into the corner where the sheet meets the joist, push it up tight, and weight the floor above while it cures. 1 tube covers a lot of creaks, and there's nothing there to work loose. Number 7 you'll have seen already, because it's the first thing most people reach for. The breakaway screw kits, Squeak No More, and the ones copying it, run about $22. The screw is scored near the head, so you drive it through the carpet into the joist and snap the head off below the pile. I've used it, and it can work. It only works if you actually hit the joist, though, and you're finding that joist blind. It does nothing for a creak between 2 joists. Loop pile carpet rules it out completely, because 1 caught yarn runs the length of the room. And I know of a couple who did this 15 years ago, then pulled the carpet and found a good oak floor underneath full of headless shanks. Then there's what's below. You're firing a 3-inch screw blind into a cavity you can't see. Every plumber and electrician who's lifted a floor gives the same answer about what's in there, which is copper notched into the top of a joist, because you can't thread rigid pipe through the middle of one. The electrical code wants cable 1.25 inches back from the face of the framing, or behind a steel plate. That's the rule, and your house is whatever the last trade left it as, and heating pipe in that floor rules it out entirely. There's no careful way to do it. If you can't see what's under there, don't. 3 of those 7 cost you nothing at all. A box of proper subfloor screws runs about $10. A jug of wood glue about the same. Powder is pocket change. A tube of adhesive is under 10, and the kit is 22 if it comes to that. All 7 together land under 100, and I've never had to do all 7 on one floor. If your carpet is due for replacing, wait for that. Pull it up, see what you're actually screwing into, and do the whole floor while it's open. Go and stand on your creak tonight and check how close you are to the nearest wall. Then come back down here and tell me what you found.